As we enter the last 4 or so months of the year, in particular, we still have September, October, November, and December to go for 2025. We are entering the fall, and there's a number of different highly anticipated titles that are set for release, some of which come out as soon as next week. So what I wanted to do is analyze the pre-order performances of some of these games that I personally intend to cover on the channel, do some comparisons, and then, talk about the games individually. So the games that I will be talking about, that I will be discussing in that regard in this video, is Kronos, The New Dawn, Silent Hill F, Lost Soul Aside, Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, and Ninja Gaiden 4. When it comes to these games, these 5 games in particular, the one that I'm looking forward to the most out of the 5 is, without a doubt, Kronos The New Dawn. But before I get into it, I want to pull up at least 4 different charts for the top sellers list here to see if these games make any sort of appearance on any of these charts. Now, I am on Steam currently, and I can pull up a list of different charts, which the charts contain a top 100 best-selling list by revenue. Now, many would ask the question, which countries have the highest gross by revenue for video games? Well, really you only need to look at the top 3. I already know what the top 3 are, but just for the sake of this video, I'm going to pull up Copilot here, and I'm going to ask Copilot about this, and it's going to give me a well-executed answer that's in depth. So, what are the highest grossing countries for video games? And just like that, it gives me an answer. So the top 3 is China, the United States, and Japan. It has given me a list of revenue generated by US dollar for each of these countries, and it also has given me the number of active players by each country. So China has the most active players with over 700 million. The United States has over 220 million active players, and Japan has over 74 million active players, and then it just drops from there, with the exception of Mexico. Now, Mexico, they have 76 million active players, but because the country only generates about 2.3 billion, I'm not sure if that's annually or not. I don't believe Copilot has really expounded on that, but because it generates the lowest revenue out of the top 10, despite the fact that it has 76 million active players, it is ranked at the bottom of the list. It also states that China recently overtook the US in total revenue for video games, and that's mainly because of its massive mobile gaming market. That means that these active players, it takes into account everyone, not just, the PC and the console players, but also the people that are playing games on mobile devices. So with that in mind, I'm going to pull up the list for each of these countries. I already have the United States pulled up, so I'm just going to scroll through here and see if any of these 5 games appear on the United States chart. I see Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater has made the number 23, or the 23rd spot right there. I'd imagine it'll climb higher leading up to release. Scroll down, and on a side note, it's good to see that Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is still performing well. That's good to see. Continuing onward here. And so that's the bottom of the top 100 for the United States on Steam, and the only game out of these 5 that have appeared on the list is Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. So now I'm going to pull up, let's go to China. So this is the top 100 chart for China, China is highly anticipating, Call of Duty Black Ops 7. Black Myth Wukong is still performing well in that country, which doesn't surprise me because it's a Chinese game. And Battlefield 6 is not too far out of the top 10. But as far as these other games go, I am halfway through the list, and I have not seen any of these 5 games. So Chinese players seem uninterested in any of these 5 games that I'm getting ready to discuss here. Let's go to Japan. And in Japan, Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater has made the number 5 spot within the top 10. Not surprising because it is a Japanese game. Scrolling down here, I see Silent Hill F has made it to the number 65th spot on the list. Again, not surprising because it is a Japanese game. I would expect for it to do, to perform the best within its country of origin. But none of the other 3 games have made the list, and just as a reminder, Japan, according to Copilot here, which has gotten its information from the internet much faster than I would have been able to get it myself, has revealed Japan to be number 3 on the list. But despite that, Japan only generates about $16.6 billion, still a lot of money, but I'd imagine a lot of that is from mobile players. So these numbers don't say exactly how much money is generated from, console and PC games, which is what these 5 are. So I'm going to pull up the global chart, and for the global chart, which is basically everything combined together, all the major countries that sell video games, I see Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater here at number 37, the 37th spot on the list. Scrolling down here, I don't see any of the remaining 4. Now, for the console side of things, I have pulled up a list of the top 100 best-selling video games on the PlayStation 5, which is the go-to console. Here we have Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, which has made the number 2 spot, so that's highly anticipated, clearly much more than the other 4. Just as a side note, again, Ghost of Yotei has made number 11. It'll climb higher for sure the closer we get to its release. There's also Silent Hill F, which is coming out late next month, that has made the number 14 spot on the list. Lost Soul Aside has made the number 24 spot on the list. Kronos The New Dawn has made the number 45th spot. And as I reach the bottom of this list, I do not see Ninja Gaiden 4 at all. The question is, why are these games performing the way they're performing before their release? Well, before I answer that question, I do want to address a series of comments that I've seen in the past and recently regarding why anyone who is just a normal consumer should care about the sales numbers of video games. I've seen comments on my channel and on other channels and just around the internet in general that, hey, I'm just a consumer, I'm just a normal person, normal customer, I'm not a CEO, I'm not a shareholder, I don't work at any of these companies. Why should I care about the sales numbers for, these things, these video games? Well, I think it's a rather dumb and ignorant, attitude to have. It's not rocket science, It's very simple. The reason you should care about the sales numbers for video games is because if something does well, if something performs well enough, if it sells enough copies, and it pleases the shareholders and the ultimately the publisher that produced the game in the first place, then chances are you'll get more of that thing that you like. The doors will open up for a sequel, a spin-off, a prequel, a follow-up title. And then you'll get more of that thing that you like. Now, this isn't always the case, but with the way this industry works now, where gaming publishers are taking less and less chances on new IP, and prefer to stick with, popular licenses, IP that people already know, which are proven successes. That's generally how it works. And it's very rare for something to be critically acclaimed and to not get, a sequel or a follow-up due to low sales numbers. But there have been examples of that. A recent case of that that's pretty famous if you follow video game news is what happened 2 years ago with the Dead Space remake, which came out, and people adored that game. I covered the game when it first came out. I praised the hell out of it. I was very satisfied with it as someone who had been a Dead Space fanatic, a fan since the very first game came out in 2008. I rather enjoyed the hell out of the remake, and a lot of other people did too. That game got great review scores, was critically acclaimed. Both critics and consumers, adored the hell out of it. Unfortunately, that didn't translate to sales numbers, and the game didn't sell a whole lot of copies. In fact, EA turned down any rumor of there being a Dead Space 2 remake, and publicly, it was already confirmed that they had turned down the pitch for a Dead Space 4, which I believe one of the people that was involved with the pitch to Dead Space 4 was Glenn Schofield himself, who was the director of the first game and the creator of Dead Space in general. He went to EA and he had some help. They pitched a concept for Dead Space 4, and EA said, no, we're not going to spend the money to make any more iterations of any kind, into this IP, because the IP just doesn't sell. That's what happened with that, and that's just a perfect case of good reception, or even great reception. Review scores doesn't translate to sales numbers, and sales numbers doesn't translate to quality. Those are three different things that are important. So with that said, let me discuss the first game out of the 5, and the one that I'm personally looking forward to the most, which is Kronos The New Dawn, which is being made by Bloober Team. Bloober Team is the development studio that's now famous for the Silent Hill 2 remake, which came out last year and became a critically acclaimed title, even more so with consumers than with critics. The Silent Hill 2 remake was highly successful, so much so that Bloober Team is now partnering with Konami again for another collaboration on yet another Silent Hill remake. This time they are making the Silent Hill 1 remake that was announced some time ago, a few months back at the Summer Games Fest. But Kronos The New Dawn is their new game. It's a survival horror game that's set in the sci-fi genre. And it looks very unique, what they're doing with this game. Although, it does look very familiar and reminiscent of older classic survival horror games that people already know and love. There's been a lot of comparisons to Dead Space for some reason, I guess because the character you're controlling wears a suit or something. Not sure why that is, because the game doesn't take place in outer space, but nonetheless, let's take a look at how the game is performing. At number 179 in the top sellers list on Steam, and then at number 45 in the top 100 best-selling games list for PlayStation 5. It doesn't seem like a lot of people are really anticipating this. The reason why that's not good is because the game actually comes out within the next 2 weeks. So the game is coming very, very soon, and this is the way it's charting, which again is not good. Now, why is Kronos The New Dawn not performing as well when it comes to pre-order numbers and all that? Well, I have a theory as to what is happening here, and I don't think it's just one isolated issue. I think there's at least 2 different primary reasons as to why there doesn't seem to be a huge amount of interest into this game. Well, 3. There's 3 reasons. The first is that this is a new IP, and as a new IP, its quality is unproven. And that's been an issue with this generation of video games in particular, the ninth generation that we find ourselves in currently, is that the generation has really failed to provide new IPs, new franchises for people to, sink their teeth into, for the foreseeable future. And because of that, people are taking less chances on new IP. Unless the new IP is borrowing ideas from, a popular genre that people are already familiar with. So if it's like a shitty Souls-like game, if it's an action RPG and it's a Souls-like game, people will take a chance on it because people like that genre for some strange reason. Same thing with your free-to-play, gacha games. And again, I don't really understand it, but these games are popular. Your First Descendants and what have you, those types of games, people for some reason love, even though they're mediocre and they suck. I don't control what people have an interest in. This is just what it is. Will this game rise further in the charts? Maybe, but as of right now, it's not, in a good spot. It's within the top 200. So we'll just have to see what happens with it. But another reason, besides it being a new IP as to why it's not doing as well, is because it's not backed by a major publisher. Bloober Team themselves are publishing this game, unlike the Silent Hill 2 remake, which was backed by Konami. That means, without a major publisher, the game doesn't have an aggressive marketing push. And the problem with that is if you don't have a major, publisher backing your project, that your project is likely going to experience less exposure. And so that means not as many people are even going to know about it. And that simultaneously is going to result in lower sales numbers, lower pre-order numbers. So I think that's another issue that Kronos The New Dawn is facing, another challenge that it's facing. And then the third and the last thing is that there's another survival horror game that comes out just a few weeks after Kronos that is doing a lot better than it when it comes to pre-order numbers and whatnot, and that is Silent Hill F. That's kind of funny to me that Silent Hill F is doing better than Kronos when it comes to, its position in the top-selling, charts on Steam and the best-selling games list for PlayStation 5 games on Amazon, because Kronos The New Dawn, by comparison, looks to be the better game by and far over Silent Hill F. Personally speaking, from what I've seen of Silent Hill F, I think it's going to end up being a huge disappointment. I don't think it's really going to live up to expectation, just based off of what I've seen of it and what I've read about it. But regardless, it's doing better than Kronos The New Dawn by comparison. It's number 159 in the top sellers list on Steam, and it's number 14, I believe the number was. Let me pull it up. Yeah, it's number 14 in the top, best-selling games list on Amazon for PlayStation 5 games, whereas Kronos The New Dawn is number 45. There's a lot more people, clearly, that are looking forward to Silent Hill F over Kronos The New Dawn. Again, I really don't get that, just based off of what I've seen of both games, but that's what's happening, and that's where Silent Hill F is. Moving on, there's Lost Soul Aside, and that is doing horribly right now, at least on PC, when it comes to the top sellers list. The game is within the top 400, resting at number 321 currently. And it's not doing that hot either in the top 100 for PlayStation 5. It's number 24. That's well and far away from the top 10. So why? Why is this game, which has been in development for at least a decade, started as Final Fantasy 15, you may as well say Final Fantasy 15 fan fiction is what this game started out as, and then it eventually evolved to be its own thing. This game was originally made by, spearheaded by one person, and that one person has expanded his it basically became a new studio, Ulti-Zero Games, backed by Sony. This is being published by PlayStation. Why is this game performing the way it is with one of the strongest publishing companies in gaming? Well, my theory for that is the marketing just hasn't been good enough. There hasn't really been a big marketing push for this game, and I'm not sure why. It's almost as if Sony doesn't really have a whole lot of confidence in this game. I don't even think there's been a Sony State of Play that's been released for this game. There was one for Ghost of Yotei, but I don't recall there being one for Lost Soul Aside. And it's strange because the game comes out next week on the 29th. Yeah, on the 29th, right here. And that's just in 9 days. And for this game to be less than 10 days away from being released and for it to be charting the way it's charting, it's not looking so good. So yeah, if this game sells poorly, I think it's really going to be the fault of PlayStation Publishing right here. For whatever reason, there hasn't been a huge marketing push for this game. I haven't seen too many YouTube videos on this game from Sony on the PlayStation YouTube channel for this game. And the few videos that they have uploaded, they really haven't done a good job at, explaining exactly what the game is and why people should care. Unfortunately, Lost Soul Aside is, it's in a rut right now. And I don't see it really climbing too much higher in the top sellers list. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, being developed and published by Konami, is in the top 100 best-selling games on Steam. It's number 37, and I believe that's for the global positioning. And it's doing extremely well in the top 100 for the console side, at least in America it is, because this is the American Amazon site. But it's number 2 right now for the top 100. So a lot of people are looking forward to this game. And it's clear why. It's a remake, yes, but it's Metal Gear Solid. This is one of the oldest video game franchises. It's a remake of what many have almost universally agree that Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater is the best game in the series. I personally don't believe it's the best game in the series, but I did cover the original Snake Eater last year. And that was my first time playing the game at all. That was my first time experiencing it. And I enjoyed the hell out of it. It's a phenomenal game. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the remake does, even though it does appear that it looks like it's really just going to be the same game again, just with, modern graphics. Which, depending on what you look for in the remake, may or may not be a good thing. But regardless of all that, it's clear that this game is doing the best out of the 5 that I have selected. And then finally we have Ninja Gaiden 4, which is performing the worst out of the 5. I'm sure there's a number of people that are going to be disappointed at that information, but from what I've seen online, the comments that I've seen on a few of the gameplay videos that's been uploaded for this game on across a variety of different YouTube channels, there's a lot of Ninja Gaiden fans that are not liking the direction that this game has gone in. The primary reason for that has to do with Platinum Games' involvement with this particular game. For example, there's a number of people that are disappointed that Ryu Hayabusa has been replaced by a new character called Yakumo. Brand new character for the series. Clearly inspired by Platinum Games. A lot of people don't like the faster paced combat, or the implementation of perfect dodges and parries and all of that. Grapple hook that they threw in there. The grinding stuff that I saw, which was pretty strange. There were a lot of comparisons to Ratchet and Clank that were made. I personally don't think it looks bad. I actually think a lot of the newer elements that they're throwing in there is a good thing, and it elevates the series. Because I'll tell you right now, I am not really a Ninja Gaiden fan. I have played a little bit of 1, a little bit of 3, and I completed Ninja Gaiden 2 on the second hardest difficulty setting earlier this year via the Ninja Gaiden 2 Black remaster release on PC, and I'm just not a fan of these games at all. They are very lacking, extremely lacking when you compare them to other similar hack and slash games, whether it's the older God of War games, the Bayonetta games, especially the Devil May Cry series. They just don't hold a candle to that. Whereas I look at, what they're doing with Ninja Gaiden 4, and because Platinum Games is involved, they're adding things, they've added things that should have been in the older games to bring them up to that level, the same level as, other franchises, where other franchises are at, like Devil May Cry, for example. They're adding in certain mechanics and whatnot that I think is going to make the experience better and palatable for someone like me. I'm cautiously optimistic about the game, and I'm looking forward to playing it and trying it out myself. And I'm glad that Team Ninja isn't developing the game on their own, and that Koei Tecmo is not the publisher. Because if that was the case, Team Ninja would just deliver another, run-of-the-mill Ninja Gaiden game after the series has been shelved for a number of years. And you wouldn't really see any improvements, any major improvements to the gameplay. Koei Tecmo will probably throw in a bunch of sexualized DLC costumes in there for any, possible female playable characters if they were the ones that were publishing the project. So kudos to Xbox Game Studios for not going in that direction and providing something new with the setting, the new character, the new gameplay mechanics and all that. It actually feels fresh, and it feels like a major upgrade compared to the first three games. And without Xbox Game Studios, this game wouldn't even exist. Now, regardless of all that, the game is still not performing that great. It's performing the worst out of the other four games here. Like Lost Soul aside, it's within the top 400 best-selling games on Steam, but even Lost Soul aside is doing better than it at number 321, whereas Ninja Gaiden 4 is stuck at number 351. Not good. The game is still 2 months out, but I don't really see this climbing too much higher in the charts on Steam, primarily because of the other Ninja Gaiden games that have already been released on Steam, which have performed poorly. So we had the Master Collection that was released a number of years ago. VG Insights has, one of those titles having been sold at around 49, almost 50,000, units. And then we have Play Tracker that has it at 242.7 thousand. The game doesn't have a large number of active players. It's even worse with Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, which is yet another re-release for this game. This just came out earlier this year, and according to Gamealytic and VG Insights, the game hasn't sold a minimum of 100,000 units on PC, and Play Tracker has it at 128.9 thousand units, and it's well out of the top 100 or even the top 1,000. The trend for the franchise itself just isn't good for sales numbers, and I think the majority of the people that are going to play Ninja Gaiden 4, they're going to be playing it on Game Pass because it's going to be available on Game Pass day one. So you can, pay for a cheap subscription to Game Pass and have access to the full game front to back. Now, going back to Kronos The New Dawn, there was one thing that I do want to mention about this game in particular, because I think what the case is going to be with Kronos The New Dawn is that the game's going to come out, it's going to be critically acclaimed, people are going to like it, critics are going to like it, consumers are going to like it, but I don't think it's going to sell a whole lot. I think it's going to be a similar case as to what happened with another popular video game that came out several years ago. There was a famous case of what happened with Titanfall 2, which was released, I believe, back in 2017. Titanfall 2 was critically acclaimed. It was adored by critics, adored by consumers. It was touted back then, and even now it's still touted as being one of the best first-person shooters ever, especially in regards to the excellent campaign. It was a very successful game when it came to review scores and reception, but when it came to sales numbers, the game bombed. And the reason it bombed is because it was released around the same time as other major franchises around it, which I believe was like a brand new Battlefield and a new Call of Duty. Just destroyed Titanfall 2 in the charts that year. And then subsequently, there's the case of what happened with the PC version, where Respawn basically abandoned the PC version, and the PC version became riddled with hackers and cheaters, which killed the game on the PC platform. So I think there's going to be a similar case of what happened with Titanfall 2 with Kronos The New Dawn when it releases in 2 weeks. I hope that's not the case, because Bloober Team has proven that they're serious. They're a serious development studio, and they're trying to break the mold, expand their audience. But right now, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that this game's not going to sell a whole lot. Regardless of the review scores that it gets, I think it was a bad idea for Bloober Team to self-publish this game. I think they should have gone to Konami, since they already have a good working relationship with Konami, and they should have said, hey, we want to do collaboration on this project. Would you be willing to back us with the funding for the project? Maybe Konami would have taken the plunge and said, yeah. Now, I don't know if behind the scenes that's actually what happened, but I'm just saying, maybe that's what should have happened if they didn't do that. The only game here that seems to be doing great with pre-order numbers is Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. Lost Soul aside, seems to be a lost cause since the game comes out in 9 days next week. And Silent Hill F is doing the second best, but it's still not doing fantastic. But it's damn sure is doing a hell of a lot better than Lost Soul aside, Ninja Gaiden 4, and Kronos The New Dawn. It's as if almost no one is interested in Kronos, Lost Soul aside, or Ninja Gaiden, which is a shame. That's what's happening with these 5 games. If there's any major shift in the numbers for these charts, I may post a video about it, but that's where we are right now.